Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline Webster, and I'm going to be presenting on iron. So just to start off, I'm going to do a brief introduction to iron here and just relay a few important messages about it. Iron is considered a mineral, and it is found in every cell of the body. There are two different types of iron, heme iron and non-heme iron. Heme iron is found in animal flesh, and non-heme is found in vegetables, grains, and supplements. And its main purpose in the body is to carry oxygen in the form of hemoglobin to all parts of the body and to all cells. It also aids in the removing of carbon dioxide. The RDA of iron in adult women is 18 milligrams a day and 8 milligrams a day for adult men. And the upper limit for iron is 45 milligrams a day. Just talking about the major functions of iron here. As we were introduced to a little bit just a minute ago, iron plays a major role in the oxidation and reduction reactions that occur in the body. And it is most commonly found tightly bound to transport, functional, or storage proteins. So when it's found in a functional protein, it's most often found in hemoglobin, myoglobin, or iron-containing enzymes. And when it's found in transport proteins, it's found in transferrin or ferroportin. And the storage proteins include ferritin and hemosiderin. The proteins with the asterisk near it, these transfer proteins take iron into and out of the cell. So transferrin takes it into the cell and ferroportin takes it out of the cell. The ones with the plus near it are proteins that store iron in your body, as the name suggests, and release it when needed. So ferritin is the major storage protein for your body and releases it when you have an iron deficiency or anemia. Major functions continued. So we'll go in depth a little bit more here in hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the main form that iron is contained in. It has 4 iron-containing heme compounds that each bind 1 molecule of oxygen. And iron binds to oxygen in the blood and carries it from the lungs to all the tissues in the body and transport carbon dioxide back to the lungs where we exhale and get rid of that. Myoglobin is a protein in muscle cells. And iron in this situation plays a similar role as hemoglobin. Each myoglobin has 1 iron molecule that transports oxygen to skeletal and heart muscle cells and carries oxygen and then carries the carbon dioxide back to the lungs. Another function that is really critical that iron plays a role in is a role in the electron transport chain. It helps carry electrons from NADH plus hydrogen and FADH2 to molecular oxygen. And obviously we know that oxygen is needed to get the ATP from the electron transport chain. It is also required for the first step of the citric acid cycle. Because without oxygen, we can't start cellular respiration. So iron is involved also in the creation of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. And lastly, an also really important factor of iron is that it is required by the immune system for the production of lymphocyte and natural killer cells that help prevent infection. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's really cool. Okay, so some food sources that iron can be found in is obviously animal flesh, which is the heme iron. And these animal flesh that I'm talking about can be beef, pork, seafood, and poultry. Some vegetables or non-heme iron and legumes would be spinach, dark leafy greens, kidney, garbanzo, and navy beans. And it's also in grains. Refined flour actually has iron added to it that supports the enrichment process of bakery items such as bread, rolls, and crackers. And to the right, I left a little chart of some more foods, vegetables, legumes, bread, cereals, fruits. Fruits is really important because it has vitamin C in it, which helps increase the absorption of iron into your body. So that can be berries, apricots, oranges are really good for that, obviously. So yeah, any of those over there are really awesome. So iron deficiency is actually really common, and it is the most widespread in the US. And in early stages, ferritin supplies the iron that may be deficient. So remember that ferritin is the one that is the storage protein that releases iron when our levels get too low. And it is the one that supplies us when we are deficient in early stages. So in the early stages, there may not be too many symptoms that are noticeable, but in mild to moderate stages, it can compromise immune function and work performance. And in severe cases, it causes iron deficiency anemia, which impairs oxygen transport in the blood. So this causes fatigue, decreased ability to perform normal functions. Walking may be hard, running would definitely be difficult. Also compromises immune function, impairs metabolism, and delays cognitive development. Toxicity. So actually the toxicity of iron is really more noticeable in children under 6, but the intake, or the UL for that, is 45 milligrams a day. And the symptoms can be anywhere from nausea, vomiting, stomach irritation, diarrhea, impaired absorption of other trace minerals as well. So you may not be getting all the nutrients that your body needs because you have too much iron. Occidental iron overdose is the leading cause of poisoning in young children under 6. And normally it's because these children are taking iron supplements. So any children under 6 really should not be taking any iron supplements at all, because a lot of the times they're getting the right amounts that they need through the foods that they're getting. In adults, iron overload is most commonly caused by a condition called hemochromatosis. And this condition is something that blocks, it's the mucosal block that usually protects the body from excess iron absorption is ineffective. So hepcidin, which prevents the degradation of transport protein ferroportin, causes higher than normal iron absorption. So hemochromatosis is when your body has too much iron and it's being absorbed, but the ferrotonin or the ferroportin is not able to transport the iron back out of your cells. And so you just keep on accumulating all this iron and you're not able to get rid of it. And so that's something that's really critical condition, can really affect your immune system. Something that's the most important thing, and we talked a little bit about this earlier with the immune system, but if there is a bacterial infection in your body, your immune system initiates a process known as iron withholding. And so it withholds all the iron and stores it. And if the bacteria are to survive in your immune system, they must, or in your body, they must obtain iron from their environment. And remember that iron is needed for cellular respiration for all bacteria or, citric acid cycle, anything like that, iron is needed. And so the harder these bacteria work to get iron, they're just like struggling to get iron, the greater a metabolic price they must pay. And so they use more energy and it's more difficult for them. Iron-deprived bacteria reproduce slower as well, so it also slows the rate of infection. And it appears that our control of iron levels from our body naturally is one of our most important defenses against most bacterial infections, because without iron, these bacteria essentially cannot breathe and they die. So people with hemochromatosis, that's where they have too much iron in their body, are most susceptible to some bacterial infections because they have a huge amount of iron in their body and are more likely to get sick because those bacteria just thrive with all the iron in their body. So highlight from the media, I found an article from healthline.com, talks about the 10 signs and symptoms from iron deficiency. Goes into this in a little bit more detail. So these symptoms, normally in like the medium range, could be unusual tiredness, paleness, shortness of breath, headaches, dizziness, heart palpitations, dry and damaged hair and skin, swelling and soreness of the tongue and mouth, restless legs. This goes into a little bit more into the extreme and into the anemia, the brittle or spoon-shaped fingernails, strange cravings for ice, clay, dirt, etc., feelings of anxiousness, cold hands and feet, and more frequent infections, as we talked about the hemochromatosis. And then I also found in recent media from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics that these are some foods that can help us fight iron deficiency in our diets. And these include lean beef, oysters, chicken, turkey, kind of supplements what I talked about a little bit earlier, helps back that up. And adding a source of vitamin C, they also talked about, is really beneficial. Beans and lentils, tofu, baked potatoes, cashews, dark green leafy vegetables such as spinach, fortified breakfast, and whole grain and enriched breads. And my takeaway from this project is that Iron is something that can be controlled through a healthy and well-balanced diet. If we're eating what we're supposed to be eating, then we shouldn't have any problems with anemia or hemochromatosis. We can also control through diet. And so what we're eating is really important and something that we should always be thinking about and working on. So thank you so much for watching.